Okay, I think... Ooh, is this working? Is this working? We'll figure it out. Super secret. All right, hey, how's it going, everyone? Ugh. Keep that open just a crack. You know, we don't want the Secret Service to go. Why don't you go away? Okay. Welcome, everyone. Here we go. So this is kind of an update from where I left off last week. Got perspective on. Good morning. Good evening. Shan, that's thanks for joining in the morning. So this is an update. Hey, actually, how's it going? So this is an update. I went on my own time and kind of fleshed it out a little bit more because I wanted to spend the majority of this time kind of adding the rest of the details and really polishing it off. So let's see if I can kind of pull up where it was last time you saw. That's not it. I can't. Never mind. Anyways, there's not huge changes. It's really I added in some folds to try to push kind of the idea that he's squishing together. Spain, Joe. What part of Spain? I lived in Spain. I lived in Madrid for 2 years. Beautiful place. I love Spain. Anyways, so I've tried to play around with more of the kind of the squash and the stretch, so you can see like there's some tapering going on here, and there's kind of I've tried to really work on this. It's kind of got a really weird line of action, but really I just want him to feel like he's, you know, lifting up. Whoosh. Hey Christopher, how's it going? Lynn, how's it going? So, again, the goal for this character, to talk about that for just a second, is I will... Oh, North Spain. Okay, cool. So it was never north. I got as far up as like Segovia, north in Spain, and then I went down as far as Valdepeñas, which I lived in Valdepeñas for about 6 months, 7 months in Valdepeñas. Tiny town, super cool. And then I lived in Madrid as well, in Madrid Central. Love that, but I never got to go up like north Spain, but like Segovia was beautiful. So if it's anything like Segovia, then awesome. Anyway, so the goal, I keep getting sidetracked. The goal of this is I want to print it. I'm going to have it 3D printed, like many of the other things that I've done that have been printed, such as these things. These are all 3D prints. If you don't know my work, I'm known as the Red Beard, you know, for some reason. You can check out my I've got all my links down there, or right here. So check me out. Other than that, like, I've been a character artist for several years, 5-6 years now, as a character artist, and I really love 3D printing, so that's kind of why I'm doing it. Ashley, the Illuminati's always watching, and so we'll just get into it. Let's go ahead and start detailing out some of the stuff. First thing I'm gonna go in and start just adding in some teeth. And feel free to ask questions along the way. I do have, in about 30 minutes or so, I'll stop and talk about what's kind of become my character design Bible, my Bibles for character design. And I would do that it's not looking bomb. It's a horrible mess right now, but hopefully it'll be somewhere in the end of this. So let's go ahead and add some stuff. Now I've made this brush, this insert brush. It's really just a bunch of Q mesh inserts. Nothing fancy, no custom geometry that I made. I just put all the Q mesh pieces together. So just using a really small brush or a really small poly. And I'll just quickly go in, block one out, and then I'm just going to duplicate. So I want these to have some flair to them as well. Ugh. Oh, thanks. Oh no! We'll get there with the pose. The pose will one day be good. And I've put in some temporary eye placements just so I can start reading his personality. Like, is his personality actually reading? Is some of the things I'm thinking about. I want to make sure also there's not a ton of undercuts. So this tooth will be right up against his upper jaw. See if I can get a bit. There we go. We can see that a little bit better. Yes. And again, I work in the lowest possible forms possible, and then I start moving up from there. You don't really want to ever have straights next to each other. So those are the things that I'm really making sure that as I'm going to add these teeth that they're not going to be straight up and down next to each other. Did I start with a Dynamesh or a base mesh? I actually started with Z-spheres, Joe. And so what I did is let's see if I've got where I was. So I started off with this in Z-spheres. And let's see if I even have the adaptive skin still. Maybe I don't. Let's see what I have. Okay, so I started off with this. Just a bunch of Z-spheres that I quickly, blocked in the shape, the silhouette of this. I'm trying a new technique that is a different technique that I've tried before, where I'm not using symmetry the entire time that I'm doing this. It's a slower progress for sure, but it's a slower process for sure. But it's actually been a lot of fun as I've kind of figured out oh, well, I like this side better, so I'll sculpt up the other side a little bit more. So I started with that, and it's not. Sometimes I do start with Z-spheres. I haven't done that in a long time actually. I've actually just blocked it in with really small primitives, going off a tangent. We're going to go into this young lady. Am I echoing, I wonder? No, good. So this is from one of my Gumroll tutorials. Let's see where this is. No, this is even too far. Like I start. This is after I build it up a little bit more. This is after I dye the mesh. So let's go even simpler. So this is how I block in like a female character. Notice that she is just a bunch of super simplified. Yes, primitive crew. She's just primitives, like the smallest forms. Like these are all either spheres or cylinders that I used, maybe a cube. But really, I think like the max is just a 4x4 split. So it's like 26 polys each, or faces, or however ZBrush likes to talk about it. But super primitive, and what I'm looking at is just the forms. You see, like how it has the arcs and it comes in here, comes down. I've got my straights and my curves, and they're spaced, not equal distances. See, look, I've got a heart. I've got an arc here where the muscle is. It comes down, and then I got my arcs and my straights, and try to keep things at a flow. So like you can see if this flow kind of goes down, even to the ankles. And the same with the silhouettes. Now, this is just super simple block in, but this is how I like to go. The biker girl, yes. She turns out. I'll just pull up a render, because if I pull up anything else, my computer will crash. Render. So she ends up looking like this in the end. But everything, even the bike, I do primitives for and just use Z Modeler. The bike was, I think we did 90% Z Modeler on that. And then this is just rendered in Keyshot. So it's kind of fun to see how it can go from like this to this, just by simple build-ups, focusing on shapes and silhouette right from the get-go, and slow and go build-up. But for some reason it works. This is why I'm not a speed modeler. Like, I'm not a speed sculptor. Because I'm really picky about getting like my silhouettes right. So I've just made one tooth, and now I'm just more or less duplicating it. And I'll just rotate it around and try to get some more asymmetry here. So I'll have 3 teeth on one side and maybe 5 teeth on this side, or something. Ooh. Yes, I'm a professional noodler. I like that, Ashley. Professional noodler extraordinaire. But I like to think that I can get a good result in the end. So thanks. I'm just starting to get faster at drawing, but I'm a noodler at drawing too, and it's taken a lot to get out of that. Anyone getting static? It might be some of my settings. Hello! It might be my settings. I've got a really slow computer. Like, really ridiculously slow. So I've tried some new settings to try to speed up this, but if it's too crackly, let me know. Yeah, his mic is doing that. Blah. Hey, Easy, how's it going?
Hey, Dad.
How was wrestling?
Good.
Do you want to say hi to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Here, come and look right there. Again, this is my son, Easy. He's a stud. He just got back from wrestling practice. Was it cool?
Yeah.
Learning some new moves. Cool. Are you going to beat me up later?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Okay, you going to go shower? Okay.
I'm waiting for Mom.
Oh, what's Mom doing?
Just leaving. Dad, that is a crazy face.
Yeah, it is. Want to see what I'm doing?
That's what you're doing?
Yeah, he's going to be a fun little alligator.
Hey, Dad, can we make it on the baby
I know, we're going to make it on the 3D printer. I've told my son that we're getting a 3D printer, or that we bought a 3D printer and it's on its way. And he is very excited. We drew lots of ideas to print, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we did.
No, not too much.
Not too many ideas. Just enough.
Yeah, we didn't draw a lot, right?
Yeah, not too much. Just a little bit. We didn't get in trouble for drawing too much. Is he going to be the next UFC champ? Are you going to be the next UFC champ?
Maybe.
Whoa! Maybe! Will you be Conor McGregor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you.
I can't beat Conor McGregor.
You can't beat Conor McGregor?
I wonder if we could.
I bet you could. Okay, well thanks for coming by, Easy.
Hey, Dad.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. Here. You're like, oh.
Dad,
Ooh.
you made the face on it.
Yeah, I
Dad
did.
made the face.
He's making the face?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Dad said
Yes, I, of all people, will push my son to to be very competitive in sports, as I was as well. I wasn't bad at sports, and I like sports. I was just never great at sports. Like, I was good. I was the guy that was like, oh, well, he's not going to suck, but he's not going to be great either. Took me a while to get over that. Connor's not a wrestler. What kind of 3D printer am I getting? Let me share with you the 3D printer that I'm getting. It's called the Prusa i3. It's an FDM printer. And I know, you guys are saying, oh, it's not the Form 2. I know it's not the Form 2. But it is this is a solid printer, and I'm going to be doing a lot of prototypes like this. This little dude was printed on something very, very similar at not the highest resolution, and it still gets pretty good quality. Like, there's still some parts where it's not great, but I think because I didn't print this, I had a company print this for me. And to be able to print this at this is going to cost like $2 to print in filament versus like mucho dinero in resin. It just makes more sense right now. Not to say that I won't get the form printer, because I might, and I still want it. But it just for right now to make a bunch of prototypes. It just makes sense right now. Yeah, they have two. They have like another $200 one that they put together themselves. I felt like I needed to put it together myself so I could learn every little bit about it. And that's the idea of like, oh man, I need to know everything. Yes. And so when it breaks, which it will break, I'll know how to fix it. Hi Matt, I was going through your female design course today. Yes, thanks. Thanks for getting that. Your trick for creating quick eyelids blew my mind. Oh yeah, the quick eyelids. That's a good one. Oh, I Dynamesh this. Okay. Yeah, the quick eyelids is something that try to think. I think it just came from like traditional sculpting of like, okay, so how would I do this if I was actually sculpting her in clay, or like, because I ended up doing this technique for all the characters I do. They're just putting in this clay tubes and then extending it out. So it just was fast and it gets really clean results. This guy did a little different. He's actually an extraction mesh. Ooh. Autodesk, they've got a bunch of 3D printers there. I mean, they have their own 3D printer that's supposed to be pretty great. Just looking up some reference here. Okay. I always have reference handy as well. Okay, so the last thing I want to block in are like his back spines, like his back dealies. And I don't want to add too many of them, but I do want to have like a very good, I want it to be pretty clean. And they have to live by my rules. Ooh, Kenshi. That sounds awesome. Back at Disney, when I worked at Disney, we had like an $80,000 EnvisionTech laser printer. And that thing was awesome. That's what I printed her on, with the forgiving graces of Disney not necessarily knowing that I was doing it. But they were okay with it when I told them. Because I inevitably do. No, I got a permission that I could use it without, as long as I didn't tell anyone that I used it. So I'm grateful they let me use it for a personal project. Okay, let's do a quick save. So I'm just going to add these spines, like these little, whatever you call them, just along his back into his tail. And I'm just going to make a quick brush real quick, because it's not going to be something super detailed, and it's not going to be something out of this world that I need. I just need... Ooh. So this is, obviously, for me, that's way too high, because I'm a noodler. So I'll just do an initialize Q cube. Turn off perspective. Bring it down. Bring it down again. I'm going to do a split. I'm using my Z modeler. I mean, I do this all the time when I need like repetitive things, and I'll just quickly block out shapes. So again, this isn't something that's going to be beautiful or mind-blowing. It's just it's gonna be enough. And it may even be something that I end up like redoing if I have this inspiration of like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if the little dealies look like this? brush, insert. Oh, I told you about my secret printing. Well, I told them, and now I don't work there, so it's okay. Now they know. They're probably watching. Matt! That's what they'll yell. And so I'm just checking out like what this is going to look like. It's looking a little too round, so to give some interest, I'm going to break up some of these things, these shapes. That's kind of fun. I need to give. Okay. So that's kind of a fun shape that could be cool. It's a little like weighted towards the end. That's kind of fun. Again, try not to do any overhangs as I'm going to be printing this and don't want a billion supports. Okay. That's probably good. Now, see if I can remember how to make... I remember how to make the brush, but I might have to have trouble on the angles, so... Let's do B, insert mesh, or insert, create insert mesh, new. And if I really wanted to, I could make like multiples of these. I'm not going to. Okay, let's turn this into a stroke. Curve mode, let's see if that... Nope. Okay, so let's try... this way up. New. Curve mode. Aha! And that's exactly what I want. Okay. So now I've got my brush. And normally, like, this is a throwaway brush. I will never use it again. I almost guarantee that I will never use this brush again. But I save the brush in my... Let's see. As my computer dies on me. Watch this. This is going to be great. Come on. There we go. I'll just save it in here as my croc back brush. And in case like I ever need to go in and redo it, I have it saved somewhere, but it's not going to be loading up with all my million other brushes that I have. Let's go back to Mr. Crocodile, or as I like to call, Kevin. Okay. And then I will do some curved brush modifiers just with the size. I don't want it to be teeny weeny, but I want it to be small. So start off big. Change the brush depth as well, so it goes in a little bit. And I'll change the spacing once I get the line right, kind of the size right. There we go. Let's start there. Okay. And I'm just going to follow some of this. Stroke, let's dock it over. I like to normally lock my start, and then we can bump up this step curve. Let's try 2. Maybe even more. Aha!
Good night, Dad.
Good night, Easy. Oh my. Wow. Okay, so let's just draw a line. Let's. Why aren't you working? Okay, there we go. What in the world? What witchcraft is this? Oh man, the step's way too high. Okay. Okay, that's about the step that we want. Which is... Okay. My goodness. One problem that I have with this sometimes is I just can't get it to bend the right way that I want. It makes me so upset sometimes. So I might end up just placing these by... I'm just going to place these by hand. As much as I want like this to work, sometimes it just doesn't work. Especially on like a curvy surface like this. Because as soon as I move it, those spines are going to jump out of place. And they're way too small. So I might just place these by hand because I want more variety than this. Okay, place by hand. Oh! Go out of curve mode. Back to my noodling because sometimes it just works better that way. Put more right along there. Anybody have a good week this week? Or just like a super crappy week? I had a pretty good week this week. Had some fun. I saw a new scary movie. Fun fact about me. There's 2 things I really, really love. 1 is conspiracy theories. And 2 is scary movies. I love horror movies. Like, I love them. Oh, thanks, Pixel Dread. Like, it's almost, I mean, it is not an unhealthy habit, but I do very much love a good horror movie. And so I watched one this week, and it was decent, which is nice because I haven't really seen a good scary movie in a long time. Hey, Steve! Steve, you're the man. Guys, say hi to Steve. Steve is the friggin' man. Sketchbot creator and super cool dude. Oh, are you really doing that? Oh, that's way funny. Well, I gotta be honest, Steve. I actually went into your personal private folders and stole your ideas. So I'm not being too picky about where these are. Actually, these are going on backwards. Oh, thanks. Let's try to get some cool asymmetry going on. And again, I'll worry about like right placement, right size a little bit later down the road. I might end up getting rid of a lot of these, as this is going to be pretty hard to print. Just finish it off with two little ones at the top. Okay. And then I'm just going to do a quick auto group on these. Now auto group just puts everything into its own poly group, and now I can just really quickly with this mask kind of fudge around the rest and kind of work on the placements, the size. It's like some of these I want them a little bit smaller, I want them spaced a little bit different. Like I like the idea that maybe a couple of them are touching in the back. But these are just accent shapes, and I don't want these to take too much attention from what's actually going on. This is like tertiary detail that's still in my focus, but like I don't want it to overpower the main idea or the main design. I want it to plus it and to enhance the ideas that we've already made. The tail ones have got to be especially like, they have to have a point to them, reason behind them, or else they're just noise. Anyways, should I get into what my character design Bible is? Or should I do that after we do this? Oh, the scary movie that I watched. I've seen the Zeitgeist movie, actually. The Zeitgeist movie was good and horribly depressing. Are we all lost? The movie that I saw was called The Autopsy of Jane Doe, and it was really good. Like, it wasn't super terrifying or anything, and you can tell it was done on a low budget, but that's kind of the fun with it, is that they did some other things to get some big scares instead of like your classic techniques, which was, I thought, was a lot of fun. But I'm also like, this is my favorite thing to do in the world, is my wife will be, she'll do a girls' night, or she'll be out of town, and because she hates scary movies, like she can't stand them, and so what I do is that's my time to watch scary movies by myself. Yeah, and so I would watch scary movies by myself. And the thing is, I get really scared in scary movies, so like I'll be get my blanket and I'll be tucked under and like watching like this the whole time. Like there was one movie that I ended up I watched it in my basement, which is a horrible idea. And by the end of the movie, I was on the stairs, like the top of the stairs, covering my eyes, like watching, and I was terrified. I was so scared. It was like the scariest movie I had ever seen in my life. And I was all by myself. This is before we had kids, and we had we had a dog, we had a pug, and it took me like 45 minutes to calm down after this movie, because like the movie's based off true events kind of idea, and and so I turned on all of the lights in the entire house. And I'm finally calmed down. All the lights are on in the house. It's like 2 a.m. and I'm like, okay, let's put the dog to bed. He needs to be let out. So I go let him out, and I'm standing, like it's just silent outside, right? And so I go outside to wait for him to come in, and it's quiet, and he goes off in the black backyard, and I can't see anything, like it's just pitch black, and and all of a sudden, like I lean forward, and I'm like, can I hear something? And I'm standing on our little deck that we have, our little patio, and bam! This cat bolts out from under the deck, like makes this huge noise, freaks me out. Like I screamed, and like it was just the worst. And so I'm there. My wife gets home like at 3 a.m. She has crazy long girl nights. She gets home at like 3 a.m. All the lights are still on in the house, and I'm just like, I'm in my bed just like this, like I can't sleep. This is too scary. I watched a scary show, and so she gets mad at me when I watch scary movies, because normally I come back really scared. If they're based off of true events, which I believe wholeheartedly that they are. Anyways, I watched another scary movie called The Autopsy of Jane Doe, and it was good. I recommend it. Is it going to scare you out of your pants? No. Is it creepy? Yes. Is it different from other scary movies that I've seen? Yeah, it's a little different. Slightly different. But good, though. Just adding some little variety to these things. So in between my conspiracy documentaries that I watch horror movies. Spoiler! Does the sun get out? You know, Steve, I completely agree with you, and I just can't. I can't do it anymore. I can't watch any of it. I can't do it. I can't spend my energy on like what he's doing. So I'll march when we need to march, and I will fight back when we can fight back. But to just watch him do these stupid press conferences, I can't do it. That's just hell for me. But I did watch a great documentary about how the UFOs built the pyramids, which was awesome, which is all true. It's actually like super fascinating. No, that was like a really interesting one because like they talk about the Egyptian pyramids and they talk about the other like similar functions or edify. No, it's not Ancient Aliens. It's I've seen Ancient Aliens. This is a different one. They just talk about like facts about the pyramids and the other like Mayan ruins and other Mesopotamic those other type of similar ruins, and how they all kind of are eerily similar and kind of made around the same time, more or less. Ooh, that's kind of fun. Look at that. Woohoo! I'm gonna do some of that. So this one's interesting because like they talk about. Now, I've never been to Egypt and I've never seen the pyramids, but they do talk about Machu Picchu. And when my wife and we lived down in Ecuador for a few months, and then we backpacked through the ancient Sumerians, yes. And they talk about like they think it may be a race before the ancient Sumerians. And so we backpacked through Peru and Ecuador before we decided to go home, and we got to hike up to Machu Picchu. We stayed in a little village just below Machu Picchu the night before. Woke up really early and then hiked. I think it's like 2 or 3 miles up to Machu Picchu before the buses get there. So we kind of had it all to ourselves. And the crazy thing about that is, like, I don't think I'd realized how exact all the cuts were that made that. Like, it's unreal. You can't fit a piece of paper between any of these rocks. That they're just precise, and they're huge, giant rocks, like bigger than me, some of these rocks. And the theory is how they built this is they actually got these rocks from another mountain and brought them down from that mountain and brought them up to this mountain. And that mountain is, like, for one, it's super steep. And two, it's super high. All the mountains are in that area. So, like, how did they do that? It's crazy. Like, we couldn't build a town, a village up there with modern equipment, with modern facilities in that kind of like, we couldn't do it. We just couldn't build. Like, we can't get our machines up there. And there's no evidence of, like, they can't find the remains of the tools they used and things like that. So it's just interesting, we'll say. Consider yes, conspiracies and ZBrush. That's what you're gonna get with me. Croc back, maybe a couple more just right here on the head. Push those in. Auto group again. And just push these down so they're just coming out just a little bit. We're having some nice squash and stretch there. Thanks, Nightbot. You're great. I don't fear you secretly. BBR, I have totally been there. Like, oh yeah, let's just watch these documentaries. And then, like, 9 hours later, I'm like, we are living in the Matrix. None of this is real. So I've been there. Yes. Okay, so do they ever study the geographical movement, so the land masses ever lower and to shift tectonic plates? Definitely not a geologist. You know, they talked about that a little bit, like how so the idea, one of the theories is, this is going to be so good. Oh man, I love talking about this. Do I have, oh, look at this! This is so perfect. Okay, here we go. So one of the theories is, Wilbur, and they were talking about, so there was this ancient race that built the pyramids with sophisticated tools, with sophisticated knowledge, but what happened to them? Well, this is like before the Sumerians, and the Earth spins, like so, okay? Well, actually, it's on a tilt, you know? But if you ever take a sphere and you spin it really fast, like a top, like if you ever watch a top, it spins really perfectly, and then every now and then it does one of these. You know, it kind of warbles. And this is actually, like, scientifically proven that the Earth actually does this. That every now and then the sphere of the Earth that's spinning does a warble, and it happens like every 600,000 years. So the idea is that they had this race, they don't know where they came from, and they did this little warble, which drastically changed our Earth's environment. It changed the polar the polars of the Earth. So the Antarctica, like which we know as Antarctica and the North Pole and South Pole, were actually slightly different, and so they have the idea that happened, and it kind of mass killed this race, because it was believed that because the Sphinx was built thousands of years before the pyramids. It was built thousands of years before the pyramids, and they found that the erosion that's happened hasn't yes, they do. And they found that the erosion that happened wasn't wind damage, which is what you would get in a desert, but it's actually water damage from a tropical environment that used to be there that's no longer there. Like it's an extreme environment catastrophe. Like it's wiped out everything. Anyway, so the idea was that this shift happened and extremely changed this tropical environment to an extreme desert, and that's what ended up killing off all these people. That's what happened to the technology was lost because of all this stuff, and who knows, like the alien stuff. But it's interesting that like all this is happening. Anyways, so earthquakes and all, yeah, exactly. Like Vex, like it's just crazy kind of stuff like that. But it was really interesting, like hearing about this, because I used to work with a guy that talked about this all the time. That like, you gotta get ready because we're gonna have one of those warbles any day now, which we might. Who knows? But rather not worry about it. Rather worry about the lizard people. Okay. I think I want to start sculpting out this body a little bit more now that I'm good. Sunspots. Sunspots are yes, nature's reset button. Sunspots are cool. But have you seen? Well, I won't get into that. Never mind. Yeah, the sunspots, like the solar flares that happen, that will just can instantly, like we are living just on the tip of utter destruction all the time. A small little thing, the small little thing could happen, and boom, it just completely dead. yeah. Of course, I just have a ball, Kingsley. This is for life lessons right here. And there's something like, given, I don't necessarily believe, let's preface this, that I don't necessarily believe all these conspiracies, which I do, but it is fun to learn about. Like, I do think it's rather fun, and numbs the pain of real life, probably. Okay, anyways, let's take a break here. I want to talk a little bit about, so the ideas that I'm putting into this alligator. No, I haven't done this before. What are you talking about? I've never discussed in great detail the the way the Earth spins. Anyways, books that I recommend. These are just a few. If you're alive, find out by 11. Yes. So the books that I recommend for like character design, and I study 2D character design all the time. Like I draw every day. I highly recommend it, even if you're not good. Like I don't consider myself a good 2D artist, but I have at least enough information that I'm trying to. I can interpret that in 3D the way that I want. Oh no, Kyle! I'm just getting started, Kyle. So, anyways, back to the important things, the books. Okay, so one is this movement and form. I'm going to put these in here. I'm going to write these down so you can look. Important studying material for character design. Sometimes I think this stuff is forgotten when we work in 3D. Like, this is something that I know that I've forgotten sometimes. So I keep studying 2D to try to push myself back into that mindset. Hey, easy! Yes, so good. Perfect timing. So this is one that I highly recommend. This is just talking about figure drawing and flow, rhythm and flow, balance, shapes, forms. It's called Movement and Form by Samantha Youssef. So, Movement and Form by Samantha Youssef. The second one, which is also great, is this Christopher Hart, the Humongous Book of Cartooning. Okay, I'm glad you got your tinfoil hat. No. Oh no, we're gonna get back to conspiracies. Don't worry, easy. So the Humongous Book of Cartooning. By Christopher Hart. This book is great. Like, it really is of yeah. This is really great because it just talks about shape language a ton. You know, it's a different style than I really use, but the ideas behind the shape language still transfer over into a little bit more complex design like this. But it's really, really great. I've been through this book a couple times, and I pull it up all the time, especially to help me put my mind back into like a graphic headset when I'm doing more graphic characters. Uh-oh. What is that? Wonder Woman's head just fell off. Anyways. And the last one, this one I think is probably the most important. It's at least my favorite of the three, and I'll type this out, is creating characters with personality. Rip Wonder Woman. Creating Characters with Personality by Tom Bancroft. This book is gold. He goes into a lot of deep theory behind characters and how to really make a character actually mean something instead of looking cool, or, you know. So he does talk about shape language quite a bit, but he actually goes into like figuring out who the character is themselves, and it's something that can be super deep, and really like puts a lot of appeal in your characters, because it's not just, can I make something look cool? Is there personality behind it? Is there a connection? Because, hey, I kind of get that. Like, I attach with that. So that's where, yes, Bancroft is awesome. And so, like, to have some sort of connection, that's where the appeal comes in. Even with ugly characters, like, you can connect with that, and there's where the appeal is. So those are three books. Three of some of the books that I highly, highly recommend. And so you see there's a lot of shape language in this. I'm trying to find his personality more and more as I go along. And the more I flesh it out, I'll probably change some things and try to get his personality. Because I want him to be like that skater kid that's a little bit spunky, that's a little bit quirky, and that has a tiny bit of an edge, but really is just kind of a softie. Anyways, so that is my 5-minute talk about character design. And now, back to conspiracies! I could talk about conspiracies all day. I won't. Let's talk about sculpting. So now, like, I'm still super low in polys. The highest thing is probably his head right now, and it's far from done. It just, just below 3,000 polys for the entire character is I'm feeling good about. And the Ender Loomis book, yes. Also great. So let's see if there's, and then like I have a billion different you Illuminati conspirators. I highly recommend just getting a bunch of different people's sketchbooks too. Like I've got piles and piles of these. Oh my goodness. My favorite sketchbook, or where is it? Right here. Is probably this one. This isn't available anywhere anymore. The art of Cory Loftus. Cory Loftus is like the god of character design. And he is just, these are just like the most beautiful designs, Cory Loftus. This is like, I got it signed many years ago from Cory at CTN. This was his second art book that he made, and it's still probably my favorite. I've got, all the art books that he has, and this one just seemed to have like it's just amazing. Anyways, Cory Loftus. More conspiracy. What do we want to talk about? There's lots of conspiracy out there. What else do I talk about? There was, I watched this thing about the Phoenix Lights. Have any of you heard about the Phoenix Lights? I know that there's someone that either knows about the Phoenix Lights out there or has witnessed the Phoenix Lights, was a witness, because that thing is like, it's so awesome. Okay, let's split this up and we'll talk about the Phoenix Lights. Is it too early to talk about 9/11? Wilbur, we could talk all night about 9/11. That is what got me started. Is 9/11. What was that last book? It was Cory Loftus. The Art of Cory Loftus. The Art of Cory Loftus. I don't know. He might sell a digital copy of it. I highly recommend you pick it up if you can. My art director has been trying to steal it from me because he loves it so much. Whoops. Split Hidden. Did I split Hidden? Anyways, that book's awesome. Do we want to talk about 9/11? We could go on for hours about 9/11. Let's talk about the Phoenix Lights. Have you guys? The Jules hasn't heard about the Phoenix Lights. Okay, the Phoenix Lights. Let's talk about the Phoenix Lights a little bit, because I just watched one about the Phoenix Lights, and this is something I've actually known about for a long time. Do you think it was Kim Jong-un who killed his brother? See, I don't know about that one, Easy. I don't know. Oh, hi, I'm familiar with him. He was the character designer on Zootopia. Yes, character designer on Zootopia. Also, lead character artist at WildWorks. We're at Carbine Studio for Wild Star. And just a super awesome dude. So the Phoenix Lights in 1997, this is the largest UFO sighting recorded. They have over 10,000 eyewitnesses to this, and it was eyewitness reportings on this. That it got so big that the governor himself came out about it. The governor of Phoenix came out and said that he would do an investigation on it. He actually then kind of made a mockery of it, but then released that kind of he needed to diffuse the pressure that was going on. Because apparently he was getting a lot of pressure because people wanted to know. It was this huge thing. So what it was is people saw this ginormous triangle in the sky. Let's draw it out. I mean, you guys can Google this, but I'm not going to draw it out. Anyways, they saw a huge triangle in the sky with lights, like 5 lights on each side, and they were saying this flying triangle was probably like it was flying, a few hundred feet from the ground, not super high, lower than like an airliner, but they said it was as big as one of the mountain peaks. Like it was huge, and it was like it flew slowly across Phoenix. Like news stations stopped broadcasting saying, hey, we were getting reports of this mysterious object in the sky. We're going now, and they have there's footage of this thing. Not great footage because it's 1997. Anyway, so the mayor comes out and he says, he kind of makes a mockery of it, but later comes out and publicly announces that they don't know what happened, and they were they gave it over to the government to help out with, because that's what they were told to do, and the case just kind of ended there. Nobody would talk about it. John McCain even came out and talked about it. Senator John McCain. And so it was a big deal. It was such a this huge UFO sighting and people wanted answers for it. And anyways, so there's pictures all over. There's video of this event in 1997. A couple mockumentaries made about it of abductees, which are actually kind of fun, but not as good as the real story. Helicopters had to, yeah, it's probably just a bunch of helicopters. Let's see. Aliens from Kung Pao. Yes, Joe. ZBrush and aliens. That's what you're going to get. And then some real deep conspiracies if we want to get into some other stuff. But if you want to learn about some great alien stuff, check out Full Disclosure. There's a documentary. You can find it on YouTube. They've got the full video up. Full Disclosure. With Dr. David Greer. I'm such a nerd. I'm hearing myself talk about this. I don't take myself seriously. So I hope you guys don't take me too seriously either about any of this. Project Snowbird? I haven't heard about Project Snowbird. I will look up Project Snowbird. There's a couple new conspiracies that I've heard lately that I haven't looked into too much. One is the Berenstein Bear conspiracy. Has anybody heard that? Berenstein Bear and the Berenstein Bear. which I'm not sure what it is. I just heard about it and I'm like, ooh, I love those books. There's a conspiracy around them. It only makes them better. You must watch conspiracy video documentaries. Yes, that I do. I listen to conspiracy documentaries while I'm at work. Keeps me going. But the full disclosure one, if you guys want a good documentary, it's probably one of the best documentaries with like real good conspiracy in it. But that one goes really, really, really. Yes, I have heard about. Oh, easy. I'm going back on this. I have heard about the pyramids on Mars, which are also like the pyramids on not Antarctica, the South Pole. There's pyramids on the South Pole that you need to look at, which are crazy, crazy, crazy. Also, which that will lead you, and let me tell you where that's going to lead you, is the man bear pig. No, that pyramid on the South Pole. That's going to teach you all about the Inner Earth Society, and that's really funny. The Inner Earth Society is like the best of the conspiracies because like the guy that talks about his visits to the Inner Earth Society is hilarious. His whole thing is like how he was chosen basically to get with this super hot Under Earth babe. It's fantastic. Anyways, yes, is that the whole conspiracy? Is that we remember as Berenstein Bears, and now it's spelled Berenstein or Stain Bears? If that's the whole conspiracy, I'm already upset because I wanted like some death, some maybe an uncle that was like, ugh. When do we think we will hit the peak of interstellar travel? Well, I think we already got there. So it just depends on which technology we're using. Because right now, if you use our technology, you're not going to get there. But if you use like the technology that we really have, and it's been suppressed for many years, like then we'll get there right away. Anyways, the best is because you learn about the Inner Earth Society. This is the best. And you learn about the secret space program, which is named, wait for this, the Secret Space Program. So it's obviously got to be true. If it's named the Secret Space Program, of course it's got to be real, right? You can't. They couldn't think of any better name, right? There we go. What about some Bigfoot conspiracies? Yes. Yes. I like Bigfoot conspiracies. My dad is going to be tickling. Yeah, oh yeah. Is that what the whole is? That's lame. Anyway, so the Bigfoot conspiracies are great because I've actually here in Utah we have something called Skinwalker Ranch. And Skinwalker Ranch, I've read a whole book on this, it's about a mile away from my house up in the mountains. It's close to some Indian reservations. And there's a great book, and I'm going to write the book out here for you in case anyone wants to get it from the library. Hunt for Skinwalker. Hunt for Skinwalker. Um, why are we talking about this? So Hunt for Skinwalker is this story about this ranch that this guy from Nevada, he's a rancher, bought this this land up in Utah where the land was really cheap. He's been a rancher his whole life, and then all this weird stuff starts happening, like crazy weird stuff, like him and his cows being attacked by this wolf that is eye level with him, standing on all fours. Thanks, Kingsley. And Nightbot, you old so-and-so. You're as real as you've ever been. So he gets attacked, like, the day that he and his family arrive, his horse gets attacked. And it's in the truck that they were pulling by this giant wolf. He's just a regular wolf, but it is literally eye level with him when he's standing. And so him and his son go out to, like, first they have to get out and shoot the wolf that's attacking their horse through the gate, like their trailer. And the wolf stops, kind of looks at him, and then slowly kind of walks away. But it doesn't hurt him, and they're shooting him with these big rifle guns or hunting guns. And there's no blood. The wolf's fine, walks off, and they follow it into the woods, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And then they go into the ranch, and all this weird stuff happens. So come to find out, and they go into this in the book, that the Uinta Basin, that area, is like number 9 on the list for most UFO sightings in the world. Like it's an incredibly big hotspot for some reason. So knowing that, like, they start to pull in all these things, because not only do they see big werewolves, they have tracks in the ground of like these crazy creatures. They have, at one point his dogs get incinerated, like they run off into the wilderness, and he hears some weird noise, and he doesn't go out to check them because they follow some blue orb out into the wilderness. And so when he goes, and they never come back. His hunting dogs, like his trained hunting dogs. And the next morning he goes and he finds a big, a circle of fire, and his dogs are incinerated. So, oh yes, serious question. Let's have some serious questions in here, as I could just talk about this forever. Okay, all right. Serious question though. We are all just a sculpt created by a very talented artist and an advanced version of ZBrush once. Future Pixelogic or past integrated the realistic human experience plugin. Wait, what? All right, serious question. We are all just a sculpt. Are we that? Are we just a sculpt created by an artist? Probably. You look at the world. It's pretty enough that it's probably created by an artist. The way everything kind of gets together. We're all just created like an artist. Ofair is definitely from the future. I believe that. He's too knowledgeable. So some of the things I'm doing, like you're seeing, I'm trying to put opposites now. So like where the creases are. So I'm going to do 2 here, and then round edges. So it's not going to be square. It'll be square in the back, round in the front. Anyways, the Skinwalker Ranch, the whole point of what he goes to, because eventually the rancher sells his ranch to this guy, I think his name is Dan Bigelow. Dan Bigelow, and he's like this billionaire out of, he's a billionaire out of Nevada, out of like Vegas. And he buys the ranch because they had this whole news story about what's going on, and he ends up putting a multi-million-dollar facility on the ranch to document all these cases. And like, it's guarded 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. NASA and the Departments of Defense have actually come in, and they've done their own studies there as well. And it's like, something's going on there, and they kind of relate not just UFO sightings and Sasquatch sightings and paranormal sightings are all different. They actually are all one and the same idea. Because, like, strangely enough, where you have a lot of UFO sightings, you also have a lot of paranormal activity as well, for some reason. And this book kind of talks about how those could possibly not be separate things, but all related in like interdimensional living. And everybody leaves. The Chupacabra next. No, the Chupacabra is just one of the hairless dogs from Peru. I've seen him. And to get back to this sculpt, the things I'm focusing on, especially with like the tail, is trying to give it weight, like have it feel like it's really just slunk into the ground still and not being pulled up. And like when this is getting pulled up, it tapers in here, but it's, you know, this is the squash and stretch of. Ooh, yes, Doctor Strange was great. Doctor Strange is basically the same thing that they're talking about. Basically. But read Hunt for Skinwalker. Oh, we'll see you, Joe. Oh, yeah, I've heard Elon Musk theory about that we're all living in a simulation, too. Probably right. I've kind of thought that forever. But The Hunt for Skinwalker is a good book if you want to learn about UFOs and paranormal and crazy things. And they have like documentation on all of it, which is the cool part about it. It's not like, oh, this guy said this and this. He's actually got like photo evidence and video evidence and like sound recordings and heat thermal things and like photos of these crazy crazy stuff, which is all like online, most of it, but they have it in the book too. So that was a good one. Ghost in a Shell, anyone? Okay, this is how your thumbnail looks like at ATM. What is this? I don't know if I want to check this out. What is that? Oh, that's a good thumbnail. We'll keep that. This is an idea that I used to joke about. That this is a long time ago, before I even knew conspiracies existed, and before the Matrix. Thank you very much. So maybe they inceptioned it from me. The idea that like we were living in a simulation, and there really were only like 20, 30 real people still alive in the world. Everyone is dead. Everyone's gone. There's 30 people that are real. Everyone else is a hologram or a robot. And I was one of the real people, obviously, because I recognized my reality. And I needed my whole purpose was to live, have experiences, and find one person. Hey, we'll see you, Steve. You're the man. Yes, let's please talk about more crazy stuff, Steve. You have a good night. So the whole purpose was to find another living person in the simulation and then repopulate the Earth, because it was destroyed in some, when the Earth warbled, which we already talked about. Anyways, I'm sure Pixelogic is just like, yes, Matt is talking about conspiracy the entire time. I gotta test out the Oculus Rift. Oh, cool. Did they have a medium there when you tested it out, Kenshi? The sculpting software? I think they're... Yes. I'm gonna, I don't want to Dynamesh it. Well, maybe I do. No, I want to Z-remesh this again. No, I don't. We'll get around it. I'm getting like some pulls, like just right here. Yeah, it's kind of making some of these areas. I think I can fix it. But I need to keep this sculpt fairly clean for printing purposes. So, just something that I'm trying to keep in mind. Yeah, easy. I am planning on printing this guy. And that's the whole thing, is like the trickiness of him is have him feel like he's in movement, but also have him completely balanced so he doesn't tip over. So I might do a couple trial and errors. I've got at work I've got a friend who has his own printer. He's actually got the printer that I ordered, and that's why I ordered it, because I saw like how great those prints were turning out. So I'm going to do a test print on a really low, it's that Prusa printer. And then I'll be able to like rebalance him and maybe try to push the pose a little bit more. And the cool thing is, like with something like this, I can cut him up really easily in ZBrush, put in keys so he can print even cleaner. I'm just putting in some like guidelines with the Orbs crack brush, which is great. There is at Disney we just ran a sim in Maya. You can just put physics on it. It's something that I haven't really tried doing with any of my other prints. Like, I've just tried to guess as good as I can and just do some cheap prints on like a cheap filament printer. like this guy. And even like this guy here, which is kind of like, I like pushing shapes, you can tell. So I just did a test print on a really cheap printer that isn't even this high res. Like this is a better one. This is like probably I don't know. Anyways, but it worked. Like the print worked, and he doesn't fall over, and he's got the idea of like 3 points of contact is pretty solid, and then just kind of play around with the rest, and like opposite angles throughout everything. So, and then I mean, doing so many Disney Infinity figures, you kind of get a balance. You get an idea of like what works and what will tilt and what won't. So, with something like her, where she's holding a really big gun, we had to do a lot of balancing with this to ensure that she's not going to start to slink over, which happened with some of the early Disney Infinity characters, is they weren't thick enough or they weren't balanced enough, so they would over time kind of fall forward. And so with this, like, we did a bunch of test prints, and really worked to make sure that she was balanced, that she wouldn't fall. So she worked out pretty good. But yeah, we just used Maya and just put a simulation on it when we were doing Disney Infinity stuff. Have I ever thought about doing a beard competition? No, I do beard. I only have a beard for myself. I only beard for me. No, because there comes a point always that like I get sick of my beard, and I just like will one day wake up and cut it off, cut the whole thing off, go like baby face, and then I'll come upstairs and my wife will be like, "What did you do? You're not allowed to do this before telling me." Because I look worse without a beard. And then like 2 weeks later it's back. So, but there's always a point that I'm like, I just can't do it anymore. I eat ice cream. Have you ever eaten ice cream with a really big mustache and a beard? It sucks. Take a lick of ice cream and it goes all over the place. Like, you can't not have ice cream everywhere when you have a giant mustache and a beard. Thank you. I do take pride in my beard, but it is like super annoying. Or like if I have a runny nose and it's just constantly in my beard the whole time. Oh man. What is symmetry can turn on? So I mainly love having my beard until I don't, and then it's gone for like 2 weeks. I do a quick clean shave. Like, I even have straight razor that I shave it off with real nice, and then I get tired of shaving because I have to shave like every day because my hair grows really quick, and then it's back, and it comes back really quickly. So mainly for these folds, what I'm using is this Jack Cut brush made by an artist, Ian Jacobs, who worked with me at Disney Interactive. And it's like it is the best brush for laying in creases, for blocking out short forms real quick, like if you need edges and stuff. It really does a great job of that. And then after everything is defined, I can go back in and, weight it down. just do little accents of details. I want this mainly to not have a ton of texture. It'll have like a texture to it, but just little hints here and there. Kind of like if you're familiar with Dofus, the way that they stylize their characters with texture. Just little hints, little patches of scales. Cool, thanks. Do you have any affordable 3D printer? Do you know of any affordable 3D printers for just hobby prints? I'd like to start getting into 3D printing. It's so cool to be able to create something. Yeah, so there is the one that I have, or the one that's coming my way is Prusa. The Prusa M3, Prusa i3 MK2, which is like $700. And then as far as like quality and affordability, I'd say that's the best. Hands down, as far as affordability and quality. If you want to go lower than that, you can get there are printers for like $200. There was one that I was looking at that I was debating on, but it might require a little bit more maintenance, and you're not going to get as good as detail. But for stuff, they could do some fun stuff. Yes, Kingsley answered your question, Matt Johnson. So that's I think it's called the Monoprice printer. I think you can just buy it off Amazon. Let's see. I'm missing some comments. Kevin? Hey, man. Thanks for getting that. Getting that Gumroad. Yeah, I never know if they're going to be helpful or not, but I put a lot of effort into it, so thanks for your support. Oh, yeah, the XYZ printer is also pretty good, I've heard. It would be awesome if you get a hard surface modeler. Yes, get a hard surface. I don't do a ton of hard surface stuff, but I can do it. But there's way better people than me. You should check out the Jewels. Michael. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his last name. Why am I blanking on his name? Oh, Michael Palovich. He's solid. He knows. He kind of does everything great. He does hard surfacing. He does organic stuff. He's awesome. Also, Mike Jensen. Mike Jensen? Is that right? He's got some great hard surface tutorials as well. If you're looking to get into that too. Oh, the Robo printer too. I've heard good things for it as well. So when it comes to I think they're the filament printers. There's a whole wide range that vary on price and quality. So really, you just got to figure out what will work for you. But as far as resin printers, there's really I can only think of two that I would ever invest in, and that's obviously the Form 2 printer, and because I think that's number one, gives the best quality for the best price, and not only that, is the most reliable resin-based printer on the market, hands down, no competition. There's fewer failed prints on that thing than anything else out there. There is a new Moon Ray printer coming out, which is the other printer, the other resin-based printer that I would recommend. And they just announced this new printer, so I'd like to test it out and see how good the quality is. Oops. But they've said it's even more detail than the Form 2, which it's hard for me to believe, because that thing is that Form 2 printer is close to that $80,000 printer that we were using at Disney. But again, it's little. It is expensive, but you pay for what you get for sure with that thing. Yeah, Mike Jensen's awesome. He's got. I think I have like his original Eat 3D tutorials, his hard surface tutorials. Um, those are like what I started off learning ZBrush in. When I started learning ZBrush, because nobody really knew how to teach it. Like the hard surface, they didn't really know how to teach hard surface. Organic stuff was kind of easy to teach. So he had some really great techniques, and I actually still use most of those techniques from 5 years ago that I learned. Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna grab some water. Let's do a quick 5-minute break, and I will be right back. And I'll put on some more music. And other things. And we can talk more about conspiracies. Sorry. Let's change that to say 5-minute break instead of starting soon. Oh boy. Actually, there's a couple things I need to do. Let's do a save on this. And bring this over. We're going to make an image. You're going to see my crazy good Photoshop skills. Mm-hmm. Oh my. Don't touch anything. My computer's overloading. Here, let's drop this down. Da-dum. Okay, quit this. Don't save. Isn't this fun? Hold on there, guys. We're almost there. We're doing this together. Okay. We did it. Okay, be back in 5. Hi! We did it. With water. Mmm. What horrible thing. What horrible things have you been saying about me? How long will I be streaming tonight? I'll be on for another hour. Let's see. You can follow my Twitch, I guess. I get on and I do some sketches and some ZBrush. Like I did some fill-in stuff with this. It takes a real good talent to art with your eyes closed, Ashley, of course. And Kingsley's correct. There's more conspiracies on my channel. I'm so sorry that I keep talking about conspiracies. Like at this point, I'm like, oh my gosh, I know a surprisingly a lot about some really, really crazy, weird conspiracies. So, yes, and I've got my magic light pen. Kingsley's correct. Oh look, there's more here. And yes, the light pen, the magic light pen is separate. Hey, Art's off. Art's off. Okay, we're back. Let's keep going. Let's keep ZBrushing and having a great time. I turned on some music again. Unfortunately, I put in the request for Michael Jackson, and they said no. I really like Michael Jackson, though, so that's unfortunate. Art stuff. There we go. Not art's off. It's art stuff. Thanks for joining us. We put in just some hints of folds over here. And I think I'll start doing the hands, because why not? So I am getting a new computer that's going to be really fast, theoretically. Hello, Creepypasta Chloe! Great name. I like that name, actually. Let's put... I don't really see the vertebrae on this, but I think just for funsies, we want to get some shapes in there that are pulling and pushing. Pulling and pushing and weaving. How fast? See, that's the issue, is I've got these two... I want something that's super GPU heavy, because most of everything that I do uses the GPU. But everyone that I'm talking to, like, they won't help me out, because I want like a multi-core beast, and basically they're giving me these 8-core options. 8 cores not enough. I want like a 20-core machine, and I could maybe do it with some older processors, but I've been on a Mac forever, so I don't really know the world about it. So I've been doing a lot of research in between conspiracy videos of like what processors should I get, the motherboards that I need. So I'm going to build my own computer again, so I can understand like how to fix it. when it breaks. But we'll see. Hi, Creepypasta. Yeah, I'm gonna get a 1080s for sure. You got the Xeon. See, that's what I'm looking at. Like I'm trying like what I want because ZBrush is all CPU. Having some funny things going on with my stuff right now. Anyways, ZBrush is all CPU. Keyshot's all CPU. And I'm gonna get in some Arnold renderings too, and that's I think going CPU as well. But I still like I want to get come on, what's going on here? ZBrush, it's not your fault, it's mine. I know. Does that mean I'm going to Microsoft? Yes, I'm switching from PC or from Mac to Microsoft. Isn't that sad? I've always had a Mac my entire life. Even like when I was a kid, we never owned a Microsoft computer in our house growing up. We've only had a Mac. Like I think we started with like the Apple II is what we started with. We had like all those crazy weird like color iMacs. We've had the G5s, the G3s. Man, the computer's going. Like I open up. Ah, that's why. Photoshop's still open. Killing my computer. I'm gonna force quit you, Photoshop. If you're not already quit. Okay. Now start working. Oh man. Sorry, my smooth isn't working right now, and I think it's mainly my computer's trying to figure out how to do all this stuff together. What about renders? I use Keyshot for rendering, and that's CPU based as well. I'm going to do a quick restart. Let's do a save, just so I can try to get this working again. Any new tutorials planned? I do have some new tutorials planned. After I finish this character, I've got kind of a set that I'm doing. That right now I'm still kind of fleshing out. I want it to be different from the ones that I've done in the past, so I'm just not repeating myself. But I do, yeah. Hopefully, I'll start posting about that in 2 months or so. Okay, quit. I do have a free tutorial coming out soon that is going to come out in 3D World magazine, I think for the April issue. So that one I can't show anything from yet, but the character turned out awesome. Like, turned out really, really cool. So I'm excited for that to come out and to be able to show off that character, because it was actually, I think, turned out to be like one of my best. There we go. Smooth's back on. Hey, Kyle, you made it. I apologize so much for the conspiracies. It was Kingsley. Kingsley wanted me to talk about the conspiracies. It's his fault. So anyway, so I'm looking. Mainly, the funny thing is, like, I keep talking about I want this beast of a machine, and then I'm like, oh, but I also, and I get real quiet and I lean into the guy helping me out, and they're like, I want it to look really cool. I want lights, like a bunch of lights. I want this thing to look like it's really cool, with lit up like it's out of Batman. But not the good Batman, like the one with Mr. Freeze when everything was neon. So lights. So I don't only want a fast computer. I want it to look good. Well, good is a that is its own term of what you can interpret that to be. If you had to change Mac to Windows, you would need software too. Yes, except this is the cool thing, is I actually own a copy of Windows ZBrush for Windows, because I got it when I have a Surface Pro that I've sketched on all the time, and thought, hey, I'll do ZBrush on it. I never do ZBrush in my Surface Pro. I just use too many shortcuts and it just doesn't work. But as far as like all my Adobe stuff, that's it's a subscription, so I can use it wherever on whatever software that I want, just as long as I'm not using it at the same time, pretty much. And then I think the only all my screen capture and stuff is all dual compatible as well. So there's like one software that I might need to buy again, and that's really it, because everything is now like subscription based and mobile, and so I'm not too worried about that. Let's merge these together now, thingies. Actually, let's split these up. Merge them. Let's see what we got. See, I used to use V-Ray, Ronnie, but Maya's switched to Arnold, and Arnold's awesome. Let's see. Kingsley's great. We love Kingsley. Smile and nod. What is my budget? My budget is I can go around $5,000 for my budget for this computer, which I know I don't necessarily need to go that high, but this last render that I did was it was painful to do, because it killed my machine, and I had to max it out at 12 hours to do this render, and it wouldn't have, regularly, it wouldn't even finish. Hey, how's it going, Morgan? Portland. I said Poland. I'm like, hey, Poland, that's awesome. Portland. Yes, we were in Portland last summer. That's awesome. I love Portland. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. And the specs on it, 18 for the 18 core for the Xeon is compared to an 8 core i7 they're fairly comparable, and it's like $2,000 difference pretty much, or a 10 core even. So I'm still deciding, like, do I get that much of a bump for 18 cores, or can I stay at 10 cores that are dual threaded, and have that work for me? I'm gonna do another save here. Oh, Ronnie's the V-Ray is great. Let's not get on that. But it's Arnold's just become like awesome. You know, it's really easy to understand. It's kind of like Keyshot in a way. Okay, let's put this under the hand. Like the big plan that I have, like not to get too big into that, is like I want to start making some of my own shorts. So to get something that can render, I'll probably get like a render farm too, like a render machine that's just rendering all the time. But we'll see. Ooh, what has happened here? Interplanetary travel. Delete that hidden. Jeez Louise. Have I ever heard of Undertale? No, I haven't heard about Undertale. What about motherboard? I'm still not sure on my motherboard. I'm looking into if I want to do a dual CPU process, like a dual CPU motherboard or not. So that's go up to 36 cores. Yes. Oh, cool. Hey, thanks for coming in, Easy. It's always fun talking conspiracy with you. So, thanks for joining us and sticking around for it. Yes, we're talking to Morgan. We're talking about conspiracies tonight. If you want to know anything or add anything, apparently I actually know quite a bit about most of these conspiracies, and I have recommendations so you can inform yourself of a lot of these conspiracies. I keep getting messages from Kyle that just say, "Stop it, Matt! Stop! Stop! Stop it! Stop talking about that!" I think Kyle's trying to. He's one of the lizard people. I'm just kidding. Creepypasta. Every character I make is just for you. Know that. No matter what I do with it. Just know deep down, this character is for you. tips with the fingers, like doing fingers, especially like posed fingers like this, because sometimes I'll sculpt them out. Like, again, I'm doing this in a different way that I normally do my characters, is I'm getting the gestures of the fingers as I'm building them up slowly. So with fingers, especially like cartoon stylized fingers, you keep the flats on top, like where the joints are. So from here, so if you look at my finger, if you can't see this, if you look at my finger, it's going to go flat, 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 breaks here. And then inside, the opposite sides, this is going to go against the straights versus curves. It's going to be all curved. So I'm going to have the curve down underneath to a break, then it's going to curve again. So you have, again, that same idea that we're using throughout this character of straights and curves. Do I have an art glove? Did someone ask me if I had an art glove? This is like the best art glove of all time. This is, I've worn a lot of art gloves. I can't not use an art glove. This is the Doki Wear. It's great. Does Kyle need an art glove? Art gloves? What is this artistgloves.com? I don't think I've seen this one, actually. Ooh, those are cool. Oh, those are red. Yeah, I love the art gloves. I haven't seen this one before. That's rad, though. Yeah, that link's super cool, Morgan. Like, I've always used art gloves. I've really liked this one. I've tried the smudge guard as well, and that one, it worked for years. I think I had it for like 3-4 years before I switched to this one. Oh, do you make those gloves, Morgan? Those are awesome. Oh, that's awesome. I'll have to check those out some more. I love a good art glove. Let me just say that. I hate touching my hand to the screen. It, like, sickens me. Hello, Crystal Wolf. I just said Crystal Wolf. That's embarrassing. I apologize. Crystal Wolf cookie. Oh, I love cookies. So what other conspiracies do people need to know about? Watch Full Disclosure, the Full Disclosure documentary. That's a great one. That one will lead you down a rabbit hole of monumental proportion. Full Disclosure. And then as far as like character design, because that's, I guess, the real reason why we're here is character design. Hey, LaChance Art. Cool. Is that how you say it? I'm guessing that's how you say it. So we're talking about character design. And like how you can relate to this, pretty much. So as like those little details that I'm doing to the fingers right now, with the flats on top, curves on bottom. You see that that's like echoed throughout this. That like I'm trying to keep. If you look at the arm, curves on the top, flats on the bottom. So all the curves are on one side. This keeps it from getting too detailed. There, she's waving. And then I do the same with the body too. Like I try to echo that like if you look at the body, it's going to be all flat on one side, and the curves are on the opposite side. I don't do, I'm trying not to do boxy on one side together, like hard edge here, which I could do, but it will end up looking like a robot. I don't want it to look like a robot. I want it to look good. Oh, is that what the circle and the slash is? It's a person waving. I didn't know that. I thought that was one of those like LOL, but you didn't L. Oh gosh, I can't even do it right. Oh, I didn't even do it right. It's the small one. Look at that. Boom. Can you see me tomorrow? This video's on tomorrow with Danny Mac, who's awesome, and Mariano Steiner. He's awesome too. So you can just go for anyone on this feed is going to be stellar. And I know Danny really well, Creepypasta. He will make the character that you want. Just tell him that Matt Thorup told you that you would make that character. He'll do it for you. To wave goodbye. Whoa, what is that face? Ashley? See, these are the things that, like, I just never learned how to create things with type. LeChance Art. Hey Matt, how do you usually handle having to work on symmetrical parts on pose characters? So this is theoretically going to be symmetrical. So I'm actually going to cheat. I know I did, like, I've been talking this great thing of like, going to model this all with non-asymmetry and not use any of the symmetry tools. I'm actually going to just sculpt out this hand, and once I get it right, this arm, once I get it more or less right, I'll just mirror it over to this hand and then repose it. And so normally, like, I'll not start from pose when I'm modeling a character. I'll start in T-pose and do all the modeling symmetrically, and then do all the details. I'll take it off symmetry and put some asymmetry in there, and then pose it. And then you just kind of have to eyeball and try to, if you do any big changes, kind of have to eyeball what you're doing. If that makes sense. I I don't want to know how you pronounce that face or the other really the that looks like Jigglypuff really sad. I don't want to learn how to pronounce that either. Let's do one of these. So the fun thing also about doing something like this is like you kind of get to put in like realistic anatomy where there normally shouldn't be. Like a crocodile does not have these long of arms, and they're really stubby, and they definitely don't have these long of fingers. So to find like the balance of those things. How long you been a ZBrush guy? Since I started doing 3D. I've been in ZBrush for about 6 years. And I started late to the game. You know, I was a graphic designer for 5 years, you know, making logos, websites, brochures, illustrated logos, all that fun stuff. And then, because like I tried Maya, and it just did not make sense to an artist like me. And I quickly gave up on it. And then someone introduced ZBrush to me, and then there was a school that was teaching ZBrush and Maya together, which nobody was doing up in Seattle. And so we went that route of me going to this school and learning there. Gonna just bump these up just a titch. So now that like I had the shape, I could just use the inflate and kind of fix what's going on. Ooh, creepy eyes. Yeah, Seattle's rad. Like, if there was any other place I'd live besides Utah, it'd be Seattle. Or Spain. Spain's also really great. I love Spain. My art station is amazing. Thank you. I've had the luck of working on some great projects with some great people that have really helped me become the artist I am. What is this song? This song is horrible. It's called The Happy Prole. We're gonna skip past all of these. Oh, the Winter Jedi is a great one. Thank you. Yeah, so that one like was just kind of a personal project that I just wanted to do something a little bit more. You know, been at Disney and Interactive for so long that um, I wanted to do something a little bit more high res and learn myself some new skills, which I do. I do that all the time. This is what this whole character is about: is just learning a new approach, trying new things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and just having kind of fun with learning how to do things differently. Whoa! Kingsley, you're so nice. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me too well, I am the Redbeard, and I guess pink hair. Um, uh, and I worked at Disney Interactive for 3 years, and then decided to make a change, and now I'm working at a company called Chair. And they are awesome. They're a super great studio themselves. We're working on a really cool project now called Spyjinx. Can't really talk about that other than the name. It's called Spyjinx, and we're partnered with J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot. That's all that's been announced. And it's super cool, super fun to be kind of in at the beginning where I can kind of influence a little bit of the character design. Is that some of it was set before I got there, but I've been able to go in and kind of help out a little bit. They were already good, so just kind of come in with fresh eyes and help out some. But it's been a really fun project, really great team. Been fortunate to work with some really fabulous people from Disney Interactive to Chair. I mean, just some of the nicest, 10 most talented people in the industry. So it's been fun. Too much of a twist there. Yeah, it's pretty surreal to one, go be at Disney and work on classic Star Wars characters like Han Solo, Chewbacca, and Darth Maul, and then to work on the new Star Wars, even in just cartoon, even in video game form, is awesome. It was rad. And then I didn't know too much about the project when I got hired on, other than that JJ's kind of in on it to create this original idea, and so it was super cool to yeah, of course I want in on that. That's exactly what I want in on. So it's been cool. And no, I haven't gotten to meet JJ. He's been in on some Skype calls that I haven't been able to confess my love for him because it's not appropriate in a workplace environment. But he's got some cool stuff coming out in the next few months, hopefully, that I can talk about. File save. Oh, my music stopped. Did I kill it? That's why. Oh, I killed it. That's why. Let's start more music. Yeah, that. Can you rig with ZBrush? You can't really rig with ZBrush. You can do some temp. Like you can make what's called a Z-sphere rig or a Z-sphere skeleton. So you can pose in ZBrush, but it's not like you can take that out and animate with it. And even then, it still kind of has its bugs because you can't really weight anything. But so I used to do that quite a bit. Is do a Z-sphere skeleton or a Z-sphere rig and to pose my characters for Disney Infinity. But then I just got so good at like the transpose tool and the way I modeled things, it was just faster to use the transpose tool. That godlike Disney Infinity edgy style. The Disney Infinity style was awesome. And it's so sad to think that it's kind of done. That it won't be made anymore. Because it was cool. It was his own thing. It's very rare that you get to do that. And it was like a style that kind of evolved in itself of what we wanted it to be, which is also kind of very rare, especially for Disney. That like, they get very specific about some things, and with the style, at least, I mean, they were still very specific about the characters, but with the style, it was cool to kind of have them kind of be okay with us doing with what we did, which was really fun. So I will do, like I still try to keep straights most awfully, or most of the time. But when I do have a little bit of curves like this, I try not to have like their peaks be at the same. Like if we were going to draw a straight line on this, they're kind of, the peak is here and the peak is here. So I'm going to try to angle it a little bit by maybe pulling this top peak back and pushing this forward just a bit, just so you're getting, this is the same thing as like you don't do parallels, and you don't do straight or curves and curves together, because if you have like just that little bit of an angle, where your peak is here on the forearm, the high point and the high point of this is like, it's not straight up and down, it is there, right? And so you pull this design anatomy into your workflow. So like same here, like I want to have just a subtle dip. So you have peak here and then a peak here, which kind of shows a little bit of muscle flow, but really it's just design. And kind of shows the traps down here, if there was going to be traps. But, And again, you can still see, like, I don't sculpt very high for quite a long time. Like, I'm barely getting into this. Oh, and another thing, let's point this out, because this is something that I've come to hate, mainly because, like, I did it all the time. With forearms are always tricky, especially because they bend, you know, and, like, how do you get that bend? I used to do, like, a squish sausage in there. Like, you would come out, and then it would kind of curve in, and then, so it looked horrible. But what I've learned is, like, to just have the forearm go straight in, so it's like a mass inside here, instead of like straight in and curved in, so it doesn't look like a bent sausage. It actually looks like it's kind of coming out, because that's how it actually is. But I don't know if anyone else struggled with that, but like to get the elbow area to look good. But it's something, now that I know like why I was doing it, I hate it when I see it. It's like, you know, once you realize something, like you can't unrealize it whenever you see it. How do I know when to res up? That's a good question. How do I know when to res up? When my eyes start to bleed, I think. No, there's just a point where, like, I'm satisfied. Once I'm satisfied with the level of detail, especially in the silhouette, because that's what I'm focusing mainly on, is like silhouette. Does this read from all angles with no detail at all? And if it doesn't, then something's wrong. And so as I'm slowly building up, I can kind of tell. You just get used to, like, okay, this is as far as I can take this, and then I'll go up. And I actually end up I spend a lot of time on the low, but on the high, I'm nearly there, so I don't spend a ton of time. Like, I'll get the high and I'll just quickly mold out details. But it's not nearly as much time as I'm spending on this low. Hello, do you use Decimation Master when importing to Maya or something? Or do you use Z-Remesher for end project? Okay, so that depends on what I'm doing. If I'm 3D printing this, which I'm going to do, I will decimate it, and I'll send out an STL, and that's when I use Decimation Master, is when I'm actually, like, I'm just preparing a file to be printed, because it can't be super high poly, because printers don't handle well with some stuff, especially the software to make the supports. But if I'm going to make this, like, let's say I'm going to take this and put it into a game or to a Maya scene where I need to rig it and put weights on it and UV it and things like that. I'm actually gonna use another program called 3D Coat and retopologize the whole thing, so it has really clean topology. The edge flows work well with shapes, with bending shapes. Everything deforms really nicely, and so it can get the expression and move how it should. That's the one angle that it looks like weird from. And another thing that I've learned, like when doing 3D prints like this, because this is going to be printed, is I'm constantly spinning the model, because the line of action, like with a drawing, one angle, one thing really sells what it is. But with a 3D print, you have to consider the line of action from every angle. So like here he's got his line of action here, and you turn him a little bit and he still has that line of action. Like things are still lifting up that way. Things are still trying to read and reinforce this overall line of action of like what he's doing from every angle. So so I'm constantly flipping him around to do that, and I think you do that with all 3D characters, but especially with a posed thing like this. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for asking. I like questions that aren't about necessarily about conspiracies, which we already got into. Okay, I'm going to really start beefing up these fingers, as they need to be thicker for printing purposes. And really, actually just like the pads. I want the pads to really sing. Maybe right here too. What do I find is the hardest part of character modeling? Really, I think the hardest part is finding the personality. Because like appeal, like a personality and appeal. Because like the process actually is not super hard. Like anyone can really get into ZBrush and sculpt. You know, you watch a few tutorials and you can learn the tools and all that real quick. But to learn what really makes something appealing, that takes time. So, and it's not the same. The thing is like the appeal is not the same. It's not like the same solution for everything. Like what makes something appealing, oh boy, won't be the same thing on like if I want to make an appealing female compared to like an appealing villain, the appeal still needs to be there, even though he's like, let's say he's some dirty cowboy. You still need to find an appeal to him. Excuse me. He can't be gross, but he can't be cute either, right? You have to find a reason to relate to him, and a reason to not like him, and to be able to say that in his design. Yeah, time. And boobies. Make the boobies. Actually, like I go on rants on boobies. If anyone's taken my tutorial, my latest girl tutorial, I go on a big rant about boobs. It's one of my biggest pet peeves to see like this beautiful, beautiful sculpt be destroyed by these crazy large knockers, like that just don't seem to fit. Like, and that could be literally like. There's some beautiful, beautiful art, and there's people that do it really, really well that can do that, but the majority do not know what they're doing, and they're just big boobs for big boobs' sake, and that's, oh man, I get so upset about that. Dark Leafian, okay, thank you. I was also wondering if you are sculpting a character. that would be used for animation? Do you sculpt in T pose, A pose, or another pose? I sculpt for animation. I do T pose. I'll sculpt in T pose, and I'll. It's kind of a lot more back and forth with the animator, as I'll try to push it into more of like a neutral pose, so I know what kind of life it is. So it's not so straight. There's a lot of artists that can do that. They can find like the life of like modeling something like this, but for me, it's I don't see the life in it. So I normally like will model something kind of like this. That's kind of more in a relaxed pose, and then once we're down with that, I'll straighten everything out and give it to the animator or the rigger. But yeah, I'll normally do in T pose, and then sculpt it. If it needs to be asymmetrical, then I'll do that after the T pose is kind of solid. Have I messed with ZBrush to Surface Painter? No, I haven't, Morgan. I want to do Surface Painter quite a bit. The stuff that I'm seeing from it is ridiculous. It's so cool. I just haven't had time to do it with like getting ready for this game coming up, and so I want to. I really do, and I think that's probably going to be my next like personal project, is doing something in Surface Designer or Surface Painter. Film is looking like a turd. Let's try to box up that film just a bit. Oh, is it kind of hard to learn, Morgan? Yeah, the stuff that I've seen from it is like untouchable. Like, it's so awesome. But I haven't really dived. I haven't even touched it. I've never even opened it, so I don't know. It's all about the BPR. They're the PBR. I did see they've got some cool things to like take it straight from Surface to Unreal, which is the engine that we're using. And that's pretty exciting to hear, actually, that it can keep like all my parameters the way that I want. That's true. Things that are hard for me are like, oh, you think you have problems with that? His hand's looking wonky too. Let's see what I want to do there. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, here we go. Fixing this thumb, finally. Keeping the planes. Has anybody out there done some stuff with like any hair plugins like XGen or what is it? HM2 or something? It's something that I'm starting to get into. There's another one that I can't, Ontrix. I'm starting to get into some Ontrix stuff. Just wondering if that might be the best solution, because I have used fiber mesh. I just don't love the results. Like, it's pretty difficult to use and get really great results, and it's not super customizable when you need it to be. I mean, it's super customizable. It's really customizable, but not in a way that allows for greatness without much hardship. But I don't know if that's like all hair software. Yeah, G2H, that's the one. Shaving a haircut. I've heard some great things about shaving a haircut. Is shaving a haircut fairly easy to use? So I've looked at the Ontrix, and I haven't used any of them yet, but they seem fairly straightforward as far as how to use them, and especially like with my workflow of ZBrush, like building out kind of the poly groups, like the and I'm trying to convince my company to sponsor picking up one of these packages. You think it's pretty easy? Okay. Does the GMH2 work with Arnold? Does anybody know? It does, yes. Yeah, I mean this is all for like final characters, like marketing characters. Um, but it's something that I want to learn how to do myself. Oh, really? Dan and his secrets on how to use shaving a haircut for gears. Actually, I want... Oh yeah, they killed it. It's coalition. Ooh. Can I tell more about the secrets of posing, action posing? Um, so, and this is a little different. Like again, like this isn't normally how I do characters, but like, let's see if I can pull up something that I have here. Um, So really, the keys to posing is the same techniques that I use in 2D. Is you want to find that line of action, like what. I'll just talk about it on here. Before I'm taking like a T pose to this pose, I want to know what my line of action is. Let's load up actually my reference. So I'm doing this from a sketch that I did. Let's say import. We'll dock this real quick. So let's look at this before we do anything. I'm trying to find that line of action, and for this line of action, like it's kind of like curving up, and it's just the momentum is pulling up. So if I was going to draw a line of action, it would be straight up, right? I need a color. Line of action would be just straight up. Like that's what's happening. All the momentum is pulling him up. That's the line of action. And so now, after I have that, I need to get the gesture. And it's conspiracies of poses. Then the gesture is going to be slightly different from the line of actions because the gesture is going to be like the rough rhythm and flow of what the character is. So the rhythm and flow of this character is something like this. You know, you're finding the rhythm kind of flows up, and I want to echo that through this stuff. So like he's got this rhythm and flow through his whole body. So it's, and this is all pulling up. So everything is pulling up, and this is what I want to figure out. And then the third is the balance. After I have these figured out, because like this works in 2D, but there's nothing that needs it to stay up. This, on the other hand, needs to have a balance to it. Oh boy. Let's try to save this. So I need to figure out, this, the tricky part is like, okay, so how do I get the balance and the squish and the rhythm and flow? Because like we've got that gesture, right? It might be a little bit too straight up here, so I'll adjust that later. But the pull is still like up and forward. You know, it's not straight up, it's going to be slightly forward and up, right? This is the main like the main line of action. And then the gesture I'm trying to keep in there. Everything kind of flows into each other really nicely. There's a rhythm, there's a balance, kind of like a harmony in what's going on. And so it's not a jumble of like extremeness. It's a moment that's happening. And I was talking to Kent Milton, who's a phenomenal traditional sculptor, like the best, like my idol of sculptors is Kent Milton. I got to talk to him, and he was telling me about posing, like what to do to bring out your poses a little bit more. And he was saying, well, what you want to do is if you understand animation, there's keyframes, which are normally like, if you're punching, it's the moment of impact, boom. If you're stepping, it's when your heel hits the ground. It's like those big, that's the big moment. And he's like, most people when posing for a figure or model, they do the big moment. It is the keyframe. And he's like, don't do that. And I was like, oh, okay, because that's what I've been doing. He's like, what you want to do is you want to do the frame right in front of it. So if you were punching, and instead of hitting like I'm punching this, instead of that, you are doing the frame behind it or the frame in front of it. So it's just before the moment of impact. So you kind of are giving in the feeling that something is going to happen, that you're breathing in that boom. So like instead of doing like the exact height of this guy, he's still lifting up. This guy is not at the height of his jump. He's still lifting up. And things are still in motion, and that's what I'm trying to convey. So it's a really different way of like, oh, that's kind of cool, like to still bring in that life. Really cool opportunity to talk to that guy. So I don't know if any of that rambling makes sense. And then just get real familiar with the transpose tools. And that's it. Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, hair in video games is very obscure. Like I'm still not sure. Like I've got no advice on like how, I don't know. I've got no skill in how to do that. I can do sculpted hair fairly well though. Oh my gosh, guys! You know what? I am over my time, and Kingsley and Kyle are probably like they're gonna be yelling at me, Matt, you're over your time. So let's end here for tonight. What I'll do is I'll finish off this arm, put these things separate, and then we'll kind of pick up next week, finishing, like, cutting this guy up for printing. I know, I'm so sorry. I'm way over my time. I was supposed to end 10 minutes ago. Yeah, I think I should too. But thanks for everyone stopping by, guys. Join us next week for more conspiracy video or conspiracy talk, and talking about our favorite horror movies. So, you guys are awesome. Thanks for joining us today, and catch the rest of the streams. These guys, thanks Pixel Logic for putting this on. These guys are way too cool and awesome for putting this on. This has been just like an amazing 2 weeks of like inspiration upon inspiration upon inspiration. So hashtag conspiracy. We'll make you believe, Kyle. I've got some videos to show you. Anyways, thanks for everyone. You guys are great. Good night. I'm going to go to sleep after watching some very documented UFO encounters. Okay. Good night, guys.